I'm Carla Reeves, and this is Differently. Whether you feel stuck in survival, navigating a change, or seeking more for your life, may this podcast be your weekly nudge to take a risk to build a life that is uniquely bold, authentic, and in alignment with your deepest values. After a decade of coaching individuals from corporate leaders to creative artists to multi-million-dollar CEOs, I'm convinced we are far closer than we realize to what we deeply desire, and it's a willingness to do differently that can change everything. Hey, Differently listeners. As a person who loves planning, dreaming, setting a vision to move towards, sometimes things don't go the way we intend or plan, and what we do then can determine everything. Today's episode is a blend of updates. May the ups and downs of my journey stir your thinking and shine some light in places where you are ready to rethink what's possible. At the end of October, here's where we were. Our boys, you've probably heard me say this, but our boys are grown and out of the nest, both building their own lives. And we had been feeling for some time that this is like the window in our lives while we're healthy and feel good to go and do some adventuring. We'd been in our home for 25 years. We'd been dreaming of traveling around and have been experimenting with some 2 or 3 week working trips over the last couple of years. And back in October, we were ready to take the leap into digital nomadism for a period of time. We were thinking maybe 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. We weren't exactly sure, but thought this was a good time before our kids actually settle down where they're going to be and start building their families. After we decided to take this leap, I went to lunch with a dear friend the following day. And I'm sharing this with her that we're going to take the leap into digital nomadism. And she looks at me and she says, I might have a buyer for your home. What? I was stunned. It seemed too good to be true. We lived on 4 acres, and it's very unique property, not something that just everybody is looking for. But things proceeded, and we actually contacted a realtor to drop the paperwork, and this all began moving much faster than we expected. And the day we were going to move forward with the realtor, it was looking like we might be moving out of our home before Christmas, and it all got a little overwhelming. And this particular day, tears, excitement, overwhelm, nostalgia. Every time I'd look out on our property, a flood of memories of raising our boys and growing our family would just flood over me. We decided to call both our boys again that day, one more time, to be sure they were on board with our plan. We talked to our oldest, and he said, yes, absolutely, go for it. I think this is great. And we called our youngest, who we had just seen, and he said, well, actually, I might want to move home. We had just seen him. He had seemed so happy and loved Huntington Beach, but we knew something was going on. So we told him, don't pack up your things. Come home this weekend. Let's talk. Let's make a plan together. We're making big decisions. You're making big decisions. He came home. We sat down. We whiteboarded all kinds of options. Later that weekend, he got a text from his landlord telling everybody that they had to be out of their place within a number of weeks. So Shane was moving home. Has this ever happened to you? This was a curveball. It was one of those curveballs that was so extreme that it woke us up to pay attention. What's happening here? We got really curious. We knew God's doing something here. I'm not going to lie that this was filled with so many emotions, and it was hard to switch gears for me. I was so far ahead map making this particular path of digital nomadism. It took a while to bring myself back. So long story short, we went from being empty nesters to digital nomads to selling our home and actually moving just 7 miles away to an entirely new universe, or what feels like an entirely new universe. We have a new adventure, and Shane, our youngest son, has a place to land for as long as he needs. Here's what I learned. God has way better plans than we do. It's important to stay fluid and adaptable while having big dreams and goals, because this leaves space for God to move unexpectedly and blow your mind with something even better. Adventure doesn't require being a digital nomad. Life is full of goodbyes and hellos. During this process, I had a conversation with one of my clients one day, and she was telling me how someone had once told her to let your feelings finish. And this was wisdom that I so needed over the last couple of months. It really helped me feel all the feelings of leaving our home and letting the tears fall as many as times as they needed to. I haven't always been good with this. The other thing I learned is that the mind is relentless in creating mental constructs that can either lift us up or tear us down. Some days I'm great at this, keeping my mind on the up and up, and some days it's heavy lifting. Settling into our new universe is happening, and it's going to take time. I have to release pressure and apply love over and over and over again and give myself a good mental shampoo on the daily. Trusting and going with God's flow is far better and often far more uncomfortable than making my own plans and seeing them through, because it requires me setting down control. God's plans come with adventure built right in. And when I can get on the bus and enjoy the ride, it's so much better than me being in the front of the bus, or one foot in the door and one foot out the door, or grabbing the wheel from the driver because I don't like where he's going. I miss out on all the things that are passing right by. Here's what I'm reminded of. Change is good, my friends. This change has woken me up. It's opened my eyes. There's new settings and new people and new things to do and new surroundings and new things to see and touch and smell and feel. Everything is new. And it's been inviting me to set down old ways of thinking, old ways of working, old ways of doing, and try on new. It's uncomfortable at times. Yes. Exhausting. Sometimes it is. I've been saying I wanted to live more and have more adventure in our life. Well, it arrived, not necessarily in the package I expected. And do you ever notice that when we declare we want something, we forget that it comes with learning and growth and discomfort? I tend to forget that part. This has been a huge letting go. Setting down my desire to know and have it all figured out, giving up control and leaning back to enjoy the ride. My insides have been kicking and screaming a lot. That's okay. I'm remembering right now to be gentle. My practice right now is to focus every day on what's here and now, because the moment I look back or get too far ahead, I miss the moment I'm in. What change are you navigating today? And where is there an invitation to lean in and enjoy the ride? Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of Differently. I hope it stirred your thinking, and I invite you to take one inspired action from something that stood out to you. If you want to hear more conversations like this, be sure to hit follow on your favorite podcast app. And if this episode could impact someone you know, please help us spread the word and pass it along. Remember, new episodes drop weekly. See you next week.